Okay, so um, let me ask you this. What if those nightmares, the ones you just can't shake, or that really weird feeling like someone's watching you,
Yeah, that creepy feeling.
what if it wasn't just like in your head? What if it was a real struggle, something happening in a hidden world right under the surface of, well, everything?
Or think about this. That sudden, totally overwhelming feeling of love for someone you've never even met. Could that be an echo? Maybe from a past life. A connection made centuries ago.
Exactly. Welcome, everyone, to the Deep Dive. This is where we take your sources, could be articles, research, maybe just our own notes, and we dig deep.
We pull out the most important bits, the key insights, really.
Basically giving you a shortcut so you can be genuinely well-informed without sifting through everything yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Today, we are taking an absolutely extraordinary deep dive. We're looking into a collection of stories that I promise you will challenge how you see reality.
Yeah, this one's a big one.
It's The Secrets of Dr. Taverner by Dion Fortune. Now, this isn't your typical medical text or, fantasy stories. Not at all.
Far from it.
Dion Fortune herself, and she was, a really pivotal figure in modern occultism, hugely influential.
Oh, absolutely. Foundational, really.
She makes this fascinating claim right at the beginning. She tells us these aren't just fiction. They're, and this is her phrase, studies in little-known aspects of psychology put in the form of fiction.
Right. Studies disguised as stories.
But here's the kicker. She insists they're all founded on fact. Composite snapshots, she calls them, of actual events she encountered or knew about.
Which is just incredible to think about, that these bizarre, seemingly impossible cases might have a basis in reality.
Exactly. So that brings us to this central character.
Dr. Taverner himself, yeah, he's presented not just as, the main character, but as the absolute embodiment of a modern occultist.
Someone living in the world, but not of it. That's the phrase she uses, right?
Precisely. So, on the surface, he's a well-respected physician. Conventional society sees him as Dr. Taverner, the doctor.
Got it. Normal job.
But underneath that professional veneer, he's fundamentally a magician, an initiate trained in an ancient tradition of, occult science.
And his cases, the ones we're going to unpack today,
Mm-hmm.
they don't just hint at weird stuff. They fundamentally challenge everything. Conventional medicine, conventional psychology, thought it knew.
About illness, reality, consciousness, the works. He operates from this really deep premise. Always more to learn in multiple perspectives and rich understanding.
He's living right at that intersection, isn't he?
Right.
The seen and the unseen.
Exactly. Bridging those two worlds.
Okay. So our mission today, then, is to explore these truly extraordinary cases. We need to dig into Taverner's methods, which are often, frankly, startling.
Yeah, they're not what you'd expect from a doctor.
And we want to distill these occult laws and what Fortune calls supernormal pathology that he unveils. What does it all mean?
We're trying to offer you insights, right? Into this hidden side of psychology, of human experience.
Insights that might just change how you view everything. From, unexplained sicknesses to those really deep personal connections you feel.
It could shift your whole perspective.
So if you're ready to stretch your understanding of what's really possible, let's dive in. Let's start exploring. I, Dr. Taverner, the enigmatic healer of the unseen. Okay, so right at the heart of all this, the figure connecting the world we know with this other world is Dr. Taverner.
He's the linchpin.
He's portrayed as someone who just effortlessly bridges that gap, right, between normal scientific understanding and these deeper, often hidden forces.
Forces that are always at play, according to Fortune, in our consciousness and in the world around us.
He represents what you could only really call an occult science, a whole system of knowledge working on its own rules.
Rules that are profound, but often totally unrecognized by the mainstream. You'd need his kind of background, his training, to even grasp them, let alone use them.
So how do we first meet him? How are we introduced?
Well, our way in is through the eyes of Dr. Rhodes. He's a former RAMC officer, Royal Army Medical Corps.
Ah, military doctor.
Exactly. And he arrives at Taverner's place with his nerves shattered from the war. He's just looking for a quiet spot, a sanctuary to recover.
Understandable. So he's coming from a very conventional background.
Very conventional, steeped in skepticism, like many of us would be. His first impression of Taverner is really telling.
How so?
He sees this tall, thin man, parchment-like countenance, whose age seems to just shift. 1 minute he looks 35, the next 65. It's unsettling.
Whoa. Okay, that's immediately weird.
And Taverner is incredibly direct. No beating around the bush. He tells Rhodes straight up, I am afraid you will find my methods very different from the orthodox ones.
Doesn't pull any punches then.
Not at all. He says his main interest is exactly in those regions of psychology which orthodox science has not as yet ventured to explore.
Okay, so he sets the stage immediately. This isn't your standard rest cure.
Definitely not. And then he lays down the law, a fundamental rule for Rhodes staying there. Keep an open mind and a shut mouth.
Ah, the golden rule. Open mind, shut mouth.
Exactly. And it's not just a quirky instruction. It's fundamental to occult observation. Unbiased watching, disciplined silence.
Makes sense. You can't learn if you're constantly judging or interrupting.
Precisely. Rhodes, even though he's initially a bit put off by Taverner's cynical manner and dry wit.
He finds him a bit abrasive.
A little, maybe, but he's still drawn in. He feels this curious attraction, this palpable sense of power and adventurous research coming from Taverner.
He senses something potent there.
Yeah, he thinks Taverner might be a good tonic for a man who had lost his grip on life. He sees a strength, a clarity that he feels he's missing.
And the place itself. Taverner's nursing home.
The setting reinforces this whole feeling. It's described almost like something out of a dream. Charming, old, rambling, covered in creepers.
Sounds lovely, actually.
It does. It evokes images of like the East or the Renaissance, a really strange contrast to the surrounding area.
Which is?
Wild and barren country.
Right.
It's called Thorsley. Very evocative name.
Thorsley Lea. Okay, so beauty and wildness side by side.
Exactly. And it's in this setting that Taverner casually drops these profound little bombs. He mentions that the old worship is still kept up about here, pagan rituals.
It's happening. Wow.
But he notes the local peasants doing it have no knowledge of its inner meaning. They're just going through the motion.
They've lost the original intent.
Right. And then he asks Rhodes this question that just hints at this vast hidden knowledge. Have you ever thought what it would mean if a man who had the knowledge could piece that ritual together?
Ooh. Okay, that's not just casual chat. That's about power. Applied mystical power.
Precisely. It elevates Taverner instantly from just a doctor to someone who knows, an initiate.
So what really stands out to me here is how Taverner combines the esoteric with, well, the practical.
Yes, he's not just some mystic contemplating navels. He's a pragmatist, a scientist in his own way.
Applying a totally different set of principles rooted in this occult understanding to get real results.
And his calm, insightful voice throughout the book always suggests that these supernatural things aren't actually supernatural.
Just natural laws we don't understand yet.
Exactly. Aspects of nature not yet grasped by conventional science. We even see him casually mention he's a member of an occult brotherhood.
He just drops that in?
Casually. And demonstrates this weird control over his car, allowing him to travel easily without lots of packing or even a driver.
A subtle show of power. Control over the material.
It shows this isn't just theory for him, it's his lived reality. Applied knowledge.
It's crucial, isn't it, that he sees himself as a scientist, just operating with a much bigger map of reality.
Absolutely. He's not interested in woo-woo for its own sake. He talks about supernormal pathology.
Supernormal pathology. Explain that a bit.
Illnesses that show up in ways that conventional medicine just cannot explain. But crucially, they still follow their own precise occult laws.
So there are laws, just different ones.
Yes. And his goal is always healing, restoring balance, often by working on subtle energy bodies or dealing with influences from other planes.
Stuff that mainstream medicine just doesn't even have in its vocabulary.
Pretty much. He's working with this whole intricate network of conscious and unconscious forces that shape us.
Which really makes you wonder, doesn't it? About the limits of our own understanding.
Totally.
If a respected doctor, back then, was using principles that defy our current science, what else is out there? What other little-known aspects of psychology are waiting?
What hidden forces might be affecting us right now, completely unrecognized?
It makes you question the very definition of real, doesn't it? Or possible.
It really does. Taverner's whole way of working is a radical challenge. It pushes you to think. Maybe what we call mental illness or unexplained phenomena or even some chronic physical stuff.
Might just be symptoms of something deeper. Interactions within a bigger, unseen reality.
Exactly. A reality with energy, with spiritual dimensions that our current tools just aren't built to detect or understand.
It's about expanding the whole diagnostic picture.
Including these subtle but potentially very powerful forces.
And Rhodes finds this out very quickly. Taverner's world is full of things that would just baffle an ordinary doctor.
Which leads us straight into some truly mind-bending cases, starting with one he calls a what was it? A singularly good specimen.
Right. Sounds more like something out of a horror story, honestly. 2. The unseen parasites. Vampirism and etheric obsession.
Yeah, this first case, bloodlust, it really doesn't hold back. Plunges you right into the supernormal pathology.
It starts with this account from a young woman, Mrs. Winter. She's distraught, describing her fiancé, Donald.
What happened to him?
He underwent this terrifying change, became, as she says, after the jugular, left actual teeth marks on her neck.
Oh, wow. Literally.
Literally. But what's really chilling is her observation. She says, only a little bit of him were crazy, as if his insanity were outside himself.
Like an external influence, something invasive.
Exactly. And then we meet another patient at Taverner's place, a guy named Craigie.
And he's showing similar signs.
Disturbingly similar. Rhodes sees him hurrying through the shrubbery after dark. When Rhodes confronts him, Craigie bared his teeth and snarled at me like a dog.
Animalistic aggression. Obsession. That urge for blood, it sounds awful.
It does. But Taverner's reaction is, well, typical Taverner. Completely calm. Almost detached.
No panics.
None. He just asks Rhodes, with this air of scientific curiosity, have you ever heard of vampires, Rhodes?
Just like that. Casual question.
Just like that. And then, pointing to Craigie, he says, that is a singularly good specimen. Not revolting. Rhodes, a soul in a dungeon.
A soul in a dungeon, that completely reframes it, doesn't it? It's not a monster, it's someone trapped.
Exactly. It's about beings, both human and unseen, caught in this horrific state. And Taverner explains the mechanics.
Okay, how does he explain vampirism?
He calls it a gruesome partnership between the dead and the living. He talks about the etheric body.
His subtle body, like an energy template.
Sort of. An energetic double of the physical form, holding our life force, our consciousness, just after death. Normally, he says, it detaches and dissolves after about 3 days. The soul moves on.
Okay, standard process, but not always.
Not for everyone. For a deceased black magician, someone who cultivated dark powers and wants to avoid, facing the music in the afterlife,
They can resist.
they can keep their etheric body intact, almost indefinitely, if a supply of vitality is available.
Ah, so they need fuel, life force.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But this disembodied etheric form, it has no stomach. So it has to batten on someone who has vitality. It becomes a spirit parasite, which we call a vampire.
Wow. Okay, so it's psychic parasitism.
That's the core of it. And these entities, Taverner says, they seek out negative type individuals, people who are weakened, depleted, like shell shock victims, such as Craigie.
They're more vulnerable, easier targets.
Seems so. Easier to establish influence. And the mechanism is fascinatingly grim. The entity worked through Craigie,
Using him.
getting him to draw extra vitality from others and pass it on to itself. So Craigie develops this intense vitality hunger, not strictly a blood hunger.
But the blood is involved somehow.
Yes, the fresh blood of a victim is the means of absorbing the vitality. It's the conductor, not the food itself.
That's a crucial distinction. It's about life force, channeled through blood.
And importantly, Taverner's nursing home is protected. There's a kind of psychic bell jar or spell around it to keep these things out.
But Craigie was already affected when he arrived.
Exactly. He was the exception already inside the walls.
So how does Taverner deal with it? How does he free Craigie?
It's pretty dramatic. He basically lures the entity out, lets it follow Craigie outside the protective boundary.
Using bait?
A single drop of Mrs. Winter's blood on her neck, just enough to draw it. Then, with a precise sign, then a sound, some kind of ritual act.
A display of occult power.
The gray form, the entity, starts spinning like a top. And then it broke. It dissolves. The black magician's soul is finally forced to go where it's supposed to go.
And Craigie is freed from that cold hell of limitless horror, as Fortune puts it.
Exactly. The psychic parasite is gone.
That's one hell of a cure. Okay, that leads us to another really disturbing case, right? The subletting of the mansion.
Yeah. This one is about accidental possession. Utterly terrifying.
Accidental? How does that happen?
Well, we meet Winnington. He's a close friend of Taverner's and, significantly, a fellow initiate. He has advanced occult training, too.
So he knows what he's doing, presumably.
Generally, yes. He can enter a deep trance, and his etheric double can leave his physical body temporarily. Rhodes actually sees this happen, describes it as a spindle-shaped drift of gray mist leaving Winnington's body.
Okay, so astral projection, essentially.
Something like that. But elsewhere in the house, there's Miss Bellamy. She's the wife of a drug addict, and she has natural second sight, clairvoyance.
She can see things others can't.
Right. And she sees Winnington's wraith in her home, describes it as gloating over me or my husband. an unsettling presence.
Gloating. That doesn't sound like Winnington.
No, it doesn't. But here's the critical part. Her husband, Bellamy, the drug addict, during his severe drug stupors, his own soul, his etheric double, frequently leaves his body.
Why?
Driven by the craving for the drug, his soul wanders, seeking it.
Okay, so you have Winnington's soul out traveling and Bellamy's soul out wandering, craving drugs. That sounds like a recipe for disaster.
And it is, because Rhodes, despite learning, is still inexperienced. He sees Bellamy's etheric double, that gray mist again near the dispensary, drawn by the drugs.
And he mistakes it.
He thinks it's Winnington's soul trying to get back into Winnington's body, which is lying empty.
Yeah.
So Rhodes tries to help. He actually coaxes Bellamy's etheric double into Winnington's vacant body.
Oh, no. He puts the wrong soul in the wrong body.
Exactly. A terrible, devastating mistake, born from good intentions but lack of real knowledge.
What's the result? It must be horrific.
It is. Winnington's physical body suddenly becomes Bellamy. It starts showing Bellamy's sulky, drug-craving personality. Meanwhile, Winnington's actual soul is now houseless, adrift, detached from his body.
Lost in the unseen world.
Taverner finds Rhodes horrified and just says grimly, "It is alive. That is not Winnington, you know."
Yeah.
He explains Winnington's body was briefly empty, tenanted by two distinct entities, and now Bellamy's soul is loose, creating a much bigger problem than before.
An accidental, catastrophic soul swap.
Pretty much. So if we think about the bigger picture here, these cases just blow conventional ideas of mental illness out of the water, don't they?
Completely. They suggest this really intense, potentially dangerous interaction between our physical selves and these subtle, energetic bodies.
And the risks. Unaddressed psychic needs, weaknesses.
Yeah.
They make you vulnerable.
And the ethics. A soul in a dungeon preyed upon, or a soul made houseless. It's deeply disturbing, challenges our basic ideas of life, sanity, who we even are.
It also screams a warning, doesn't it? About dabbling in this stuff without proper training. Look what Rhodes did, trying to help.
Absolutely. Knowledge, training, and a deep understanding of the consequences are paramount. You can't just mess around with souls.
So if these things are real, even metaphorically, how many diagnoses are missing this huge unseen dimension?
Right. What does it mean for addiction or chronic illness or sudden personality changes if a spirit parasite or a displaced soul could be a factor?
It changes everything about what healing could mean. It's not just about managing symptoms anymore.
It's about addressing these deeper energetic imbalances, these spiritual vulnerabilities, protecting our subtle selves.
So yeah, the unseen world isn't just passive. It can be active, influential, sometimes deliberately harmful, especially when wielded by those practicing what Taverner calls black magic. 3, psychic warfare, mental assassination, and occult justice.
Yeah, Taverner's cases often veer into territory where psychic abilities aren't just happening, they're being deliberately weaponized, like psychic warfare.
A chilling thought, like in the Scented Poppies. That case is deeply unsettling.
Extremely. You have this strange repeating pattern. Benjamin Burmister's heirs keep committing suicide. Always the same way, flinging themselves from a height, and it always happens shortly after they're named the main beneficiary of his estate.
Okay, that's not coincidence. That's a pattern. Something sinister is going on.
Absolutely. And the finger points towards a man named Irving. He's described as an artistic bohemian type, dabbles a bit in occultism. Crucially, he designed their rooms.
He designed the victims' living spaces. Why is that important?
Taverner picks up on this immediately. He says, "The man who designs the place you live in can exercise a great influence over your life if he knows how to make use of his opportunities."
So the environment itself can be weaponized if you know how.
Precisely. And Irving's method is diabolically clever. Taverner discovers he used scented poppy heads.
Just decoration.
Not just decoration. They contained scented seeds. Not just potpourri. These seeds had subtle drug compounds designed to induce temporary sensitiveness in the victims.
Making them psychic, more open.
Basically, yes. Opening their psychic senses, making them vulnerable to suggestion, almost like inducing clairvoyance. But that wasn't all.
There's more.
He also used a moonstone. Seems harmless, right? But it was chosen specifically for its hypnotic properties.
Wow. A cocktail of subtle drugs and hypnotic suggestion delivered through interior design.
Taverner calls it a singularly ingenious way of bottling psychism, allowing someone to literally buy occultism by the ounce and inflict it on others remotely.
And Irving's motive. He wasn't a direct heir, right?
No, he was orchestrating these deaths, clearing the line of succession so he would eventually benefit, chillingly methodical.
So how does Taverner stop him? You can't exactly call the police about psychic murder via interior design.
Exactly. Conventional methods are useless. Taverner uses occult means. He doesn't confront Irving physically. Instead, he directly induces astral vision in him.
Forces him to see psychically.
Forces him to see his naked soul, to confront his own true nature and the horrific karmic weight of his actions.
Makes him face himself.
And face what Fortune calls the guardian of the threshold, a powerful psychic entity embodying your accumulated karma. Seeing this utterly terrifies Irving. Completely. He flees in terror, rendered harmless because he's been forced to see the dark consequences waiting for him. It's occult justice. The punishment fits the psychic crime.
Instead of jail, he gets a terrifying glimpse of his own soul's future.
Precisely. Then there's the Death Hound, another case of psychic attack.
What happens in that one?
A man, Mr. Martin, is tormented by what he thinks are delusions. He keeps seeing a black dog of ferocious aspect.
Hallucination.
That's what conventional thinking would say, but it only appears after dusk, relentlessly tormenting him. Taverner diagnoses it immediately.
Is what?
A thought form, a distinct psychic construct created deliberately by a trained occultist.
Someone made this thing, like a psychic weapon.
Exactly. The creator is Tony Mortimer, who happens to be Martin's rival for a woman's affection. Mortimer created the psychic attack dog and sent it to Martin's mind by means of thought transference.
Mental assassination. That's terrifying. What's the goal?
To induce sheer panic, terror, hopefully leading to a fatal heart attack in Martin, all without leaving a shred of physical evidence. The perfect occult crime.
So how does Taverner protect Martin?
Well, the nursing home itself has that psychic bell jar effect we mentioned. The thought form can't get inside. But that's just defense. Taverner wants to stop the attacker.
Go on the offensive.
In a subtle way. His counter strategy is clever. He allows Martin to fall in love with Miss Hallam.
Wait, isn't she Mortimer's former fiancée?
Exactly. Taverner knows this. He subtly suggests, telepathically, that Miss Hallam should visit the nursing home.
Why? To draw Mortimer out.
Precisely. Mortimer still feels possessive towards her. Seeing her with Martin agitates his thought form, draws Mortimer himself into a direct psychic confrontation with Taverner.
Brilliant. Using the emotional connection to force the issue.
This raises such a huge question, though. What's our responsibility when thoughts themselves can be weapons?
Yeah, where's the line?
Taverner is very clear. He draws a sharp distinction between white and black occultism. He says, I use my knowledge for healing, and Mortimer uses his for distraction.
Different intentions, different ethics.
And his whole belief system, his brotherhood's code, rests on a fundamental karmic law. There's no such thing as a straight line in the universe. Everything works in curves.
Meaning what goes around comes around?
Essentially, yes. Actions, especially psychic ones with strong intent, always rebound to the sender. It underpins his confidence in occult justice. He tells Rhodes, sooner or later, Martin's dog will come home to its master.
There's no escaping the consequences. It's built into the fabric of reality.
That's the idea. Which, if thought forms can be this potent, wow, it makes you wonder about everyday life, doesn't it?
Definitely. Could unexplained anxiety or stress or weird compulsive thoughts? Could it be echoes, subtle psychic influences, or attacks we don't even register?
It's a disturbing possibility.
Yeah.
And it makes you think about psychic self-defense. What kind of psychic bell jars can we build for ourselves? Through focus, intention, mental discipline.
It certainly makes you look at your own thoughts differently. What energy are you putting out there?
It forces you to consider that our minds, our energy fields, might be way more permeable than we think, interconnected.
Psychic hygiene becomes important, like washing your hands, but for your mind.
Kind of. Discernment. Recognizing the quality of influences around you, cultivating a strong, clear internal space. Not just warding off bad stuff, but actively creating positive energy.
So the power of intention is crystal clear, good or bad.
Immense power. But these battles, as we see in other cases, aren't always about present-day conflicts. Sometimes they're the climax of dramas playing out over lifetimes.
Echoes from the past, shaping our present destinies in ways we can barely imagine. 4. Echoes through time, reincarnation, and karmic destinies.
Yeah, reincarnation isn't just like a background belief in these stories. It's front and center. It's an active force.
Taverner treats it as a fundamental law of his occult science.
Absolutely. His cases vividly show how past lives, these intricate karmic connections, directly shape our present lives. Our loves, our families, our challenges.
It's not ancient history. It's playing out right now.
Exactly. Take the story of Arnold Black and Elaine Tyndall in The Man Who Sought. It's incredibly moving.
What's their situation?
Black finds himself horribly in love. That's the phrase used with a woman he's convinced doesn't exist in his current life.
He's in love with a fantasy.
This feels that way to him. But this intense feeling was triggered by a plane crash. A trauma that somehow hypnotized him, Taverner says, into accessing the Akashic Records.
It's the Akashic Records, like a cosmic library of everything that's ever happened.
That's a good way to think of it, an energetic record. So Black gets these flashes, this overwhelming certainty that she'll suddenly turn up. He knows her somehow.
So Taverner figures out what's going on?
Yes. Through his occult insight, he discovers Black's past life. He was a soldier in ancient Egypt, passionately devoted to a princess.
What happened?
His pursuit ended tragically. He was flung from the roof of the palace and dashed to death.
Wow, okay. Does that connect to his present life?
Perfectly. It explains Black's current love of speed cars, planes, and that visceral tummy dropped out feeling he gets looking at pictures of Egyptian palaces or pyramids. It's a past life trauma echo.
Incredible detail. And Elaine, where does she fit in?
Elaine, in the present, suffers from what seem like delusions. She feels a presence in her room, a sense of something lost.
And that presence is?
It's Black's etheric double, Taverner reveals, drawn irresistibly to her because she is the reincarnated Egyptian princess, his soulmate from that ancient life.
They found each other again across centuries.
And Taverner actively helped. He admits he placed himself mentally at the point of their meeting and caused them to converge upon me as the karmic time approached. He steered them together.
Cosmic matchmaking.
Pretty much. The climax is beautiful. Elaine's touch, her vitality, acts as the final key. It allows Black's soul, which was somehow partly dislocated by the trauma and the past life memory, to fully re-enter his body. Their karmic reunion is complete.
And Taverner's view?
Typically pragmatic. He says he just recognized the working of two great natural laws. He saw their repeated unions across lifetimes in the occult records, just facilitating nature.
Amazing. Then there's Mona Kaylee's story in The Soul That Would Not Be Born. No one sounds much sadder.
It's profoundly poignant, yes. Mona is presented as a hopeless case of mental deficiency right from birth, like a baby who never develops.
What's Taverner's diagnosis? Not conventional, I assume.
Not at all. He explains her soul before she was born saw a preview, a cinematograph film of the life she was heading into, a life of severe impairment.
Yes.
It recoiled from its fate. It chose not to fully incarnate, to fully connect with the body.
Wow. Can soul do that? Just refuse?
According to this occult framework, yes. There's a karmic reason, of course. A specific debt.
From a past life?
Yes. Mona was a manipulative Florentine noblewoman in the 15th century. She cruelly betrayed her sister's lover, a man named Giovanni Sigmundi.
Okay, so how does that debt play out now?
Incredibly specifically, Giovanni Sigmundi is reborn as Hausen, a deeply traumatized shell-shock patient under Taverner's care. Hausen's intense mental agony acts like a signal.
A call for help.
Along the old channels, as Fortune puts it. And Mona's soul, hovering nearby, not fully in her body, answered it out of this deep karmic obligation.
So her soul comes back.
In a truly dramatic moment, yes. Her soul re-enters her body, not for her own sake, but specifically to nurse Hausen. Taverner observes this happen, a soul enter and take possession of its body.
She comes back to care for the man she wronged lifetimes ago. That's profound atonement.
It is, and she nurses him tirelessly. What's even more incredible is that Taverner notes she could have chosen differently. She had the power to trigger the old memories into consciousness and drawn Hausen to herself, rekindle that past connection.
But she doesn't.
She chooses atonement instead. Puts his healing and freedom first. Lets him go when he's recovered.
Selfless. What about her relapse, then?
The night before Hausen leaves, her soul temporarily withdraws again. Taverner sees her claiming entrance to her lodge.
Her occult lodge, like a spiritual group.
Exactly. It signifies she's undergoing an initiation to a high degree, a rigorous test, a ceremony, conferring higher knowledge and power.
Why then?
To gain strength for her ordeal, the ongoing ordeal of her chosen life of atonement. Taverner remarks that understanding your past gives you certainty about your future and removes the fear of life. Knowing the karma gives perspective.
That makes sense. Okay, one more reincarnation case.
Yeah.
Colonel and Mrs. Eustace in Recalled.
Yes, another complex one. Colonel Eustace is plagued by a recurring nightmare. an Indian woman in dark blue draperies.
A specific figure. What does Taverner make of it?
Using his clairvoyance, he identifies her, Hunifa, an Indian woman the colonel had an affair with in a past life, and then abandoned while she was pregnant.
Unresolved guilt, manifesting as a nightmare. Or is it more?
It's more. Her unresolved grievance, maybe her revenge, is manifesting as a psychic disturbance, a karmic consequence hitting him now.
Okay. How does Mrs. Eustace fit in? She shares the disturbance.
Yes, and she becomes the key. She's sensitive herself, and she actually channels Hanifa's spirit.
Whoa. So Hanifa speaks through her. What does she reveal?
The full, tragic picture. A lofty soul, a Mahatma, a great spiritual teacher, was meant to be born through the Colonel and Hanifa in that past life. Someone destined to reconcile East and West.
But his abandoning her prevented it.
Exactly. Created a huge karmic imbalance, prevented this important soul from incarnating.
But how is it resolved?
Through a conscious, loving choice in the present, the Eustaces agree to take the child now, to welcome this destined soul into their family in this life.
They agree to have the child that was meant to be.
Yes. And the child is later born with jet black hair, dark olive skin, but striking eyes as blue as the sea. Fulfilling Hanifa's wish for the reconciler to come through a great love, karma redeemed through present choice. Mrs. Eustace recovers incredibly quickly afterwards because her choice aligned with this deep purpose.
Wow, these stories really hammer home reincarnation, not just as a theory, but as this active force, don't they?
Absolutely, shaping everything. And it underlines that phrase Taverner uses. Spiritual ties are the devil, meaning they are incredibly binding.
Unbreakable energy bonds across lifetimes.
Yeah.
Demanding resolution.
Exactly. And they show this interplay of fate and free will. We get dealt a karmic hand, but our choices now decide how we play it, whether we resolve things or just repeat the pattern.
It really makes you think about those instant connections or dislikes you have with people, doesn't it? That gut feeling.
Could it be an echo, unfinished business, unresolved love from way back? Adds a whole different layer to relationships.
And to suffering, too. Maybe it's not random. Maybe it's an opportunity for growth, resolution, soul evolution.
That's certainly the perspective offered here. Taverner's occult science provides a framework to understand these deep currents, enabling interventions that conventional methods couldn't even dream of.
Recognizing the unseen influences under the surface. So the past echoes strongly, but our connection to the living world, the natural world around us, is also powerful, sometimes in ways that really challenge what it means to be human. The elemental bonds and shifting realities.
Yeah, these next cases really push the envelope on human identity. They suggest these incredibly deep, almost primal connections to nature's forces, to elementals, even to different planes of existence.
Taverner's view seems to be that human isn't a fixed category. It's more fluid, more interconnected than we think.
Definitely. He presents a universe just teeming with different kinds of consciousness, and some of them interact directly with us.
Like Diana in A Daughter of Pan. Her case sounds extraordinary.
It really is. She's brought to Taverner initially labeled as having a mental deficiency. She looks gaunt, neglected, has these strange fish-like eyes.
But Taverner sees something else.
Immediately, his diagnosis is brilliant. A case for the SPCA, the Animal Welfare Society.
Huh. What does he mean by that?
It's his pointed way of saying her issue isn't a human mental illness. It's that she's fundamentally not entirely human in her nature. She has this deep, almost feral connection to the animal and elemental world.
How does that show up in her behavior?
It's striking. She can run like a deer. She trotted in a circle like a dog. She even rubs her head against Rhodes's knee like a puppy wanting affection.
Wow. Not typical human behavior at all.
Not at all. And Taverner sees past the surface. He recognizes she's extraordinarily vital. She drew her life from the sun and the wind and the earth. Her drawings aren't normal kid stuff either.
What does she draw?
Tree souls, fairies, demons. Pictures of the unseen world she naturally perceives.
She's connected to that elemental realm.
Deeply. Even Rhodes, Mr. Conventional Science himself, starts to feel it around her. He experiences what Taverner calls the call of Pan.
What's that like?
This powerful spring restlessness and deep empathy that makes him just want to run wildly with her through the fields. And during one of these runs, he gets this vision.
A vision. Of what?
A great streaming procession like an undisciplined army of elemental beings, furry snouts on human faces, clawed paws on human limbs, green, vine-like hair, nature spirits, half-human entities, the beings Diana belongs with.
That's intense. So what happens to Diana?
Ultimately, she makes her choice. She goes back to her people, the elementals, finds her true place outside human society.
She leaves the human world.
Yes, and later, confirming her elemental lineage, she gives birth to a little granddaughter of Pan who has distinct tufted ears.
Wow. A direct link. It's a powerful statement about how fluid identity can be.
And about beings bridging the human and natural worlds.
Right.
Then there's the sea lure, another boundary-pushing case.
What happens there? Stigmata, right?
Yes, a young woman suffers from hysterical stigmata. Spontaneous gunshot wounds appear on her body, no external cause, and strangely, they never bled a drop.
Bizarre. Any clues?
Her dreams are key. She escapes her dreary reality by vividly imagining herself swimming in the sea. She lives in this faraway world in her mind. Her appearance even reflects it.
How so?
Her eyes are green as seawater seen from a rock. Her hair flowed over the pillow like seaweed, like she's physically manifesting this sea connection.
Okay, so where does the connection come from?
It turns out an old acquaintance of Rhodes, a man, has been deeply studying the elemental forces of water. In his research, he got in touch with a powerful water elemental.
He contacted a water spirit.
Yes. And he describes it as finding everything I lacked, complete, vital, in circuit with the cosmic forces. This elemental appears to him as a woman's form swimming in the tide.
Okay, so how does this connect to the girl with stigmata?
This is the astonishing part. The man's intense longing, his powerful psychic connection to this water elemental, is so strong it causes a repercussion. The stigmata on the girl's physical body.
Wait, his psychic state manifests physically on her because she's somehow linked to that elemental energy.
Exactly. She becomes this unwitting physical focus point for his intense psychic bond with the water elemental. It's a disturbing example of psychic influence manifesting physically across individuals.
That's deeply unsettling. What happens then?
It turns tragic. The man recognizes the huge class difference the elemental is manifesting through a shop girl. He fears the social implications, perhaps the intensity of it all.
So he breaks the connection.
He consciously chooses to break the psychic link. But the consequence for him is devastating. He becomes a broken, devitalized wreck, unable to embrace the freedom which is life that connection offered him.
He chose convention over vitality and paid a huge price. What about the girl?
She, interestingly, finds new vitality at the sea, drawn to her own true elemental affinity. It implies that connection was more natural for her than for him.
So these stories really explore the fluidity of being, don't they? Questioning the strict lines around human.
Absolutely. Suggesting these deep connections to elements, to other planes, aren't just possible, but can show up physically, emotionally.
Makes you wonder what we lose by being strictly of the earth, earthy, in that conventional sense, by cutting ourselves off from those deeper, wilder forces.
It posits that nature isn't just inert stuff. It's alive with consciousness elementals, and we can connect with them. Sometimes profoundly. It challenges our human-centric view.
It really does. So this raises a personal question, maybe for everyone listening. How much of our own inner wildness, our connection to nature, do we suppress to fit in? And what's the cost?
Could those deep yearnings for nature, for freedom, be echoes of these forgotten elemental bonds inside us?
And what does it mean to choose normalcy over a connection that might be profound, even if it's unconventional or seems dangerous, like the man in the sea lure did? Ending up broken.
His choice really highlights that conflict, doesn't it? Society versus the soul's deeper calling, rejecting the vitality he found because it didn't fit the mold, and it destroyed him spiritually.
It's a heavy price. So yeah, these deep dives, they force us to look at realities beyond the ordinary, and they constantly bring us back to one critical point.
Responsibility. Understanding these forces means embracing a profound ethical responsibility. The consequences of using this knowledge, for good or ill, are absolutely inescapable. 6. The responsibilities of power. Occult ethics and guardianship. Yes, the ethics of it all. That's a huge theme running through Taverner's stories. The absolute necessity of a strict ethical code when dealing with occult power.
Taverner embodies that, doesn't he? His code seems unwavering, a massive contrast to the reckless or malicious use of psychic power, the black magic.
Definitely. He's not just powerful, he's bound by deep responsibilities. To universal laws and to his occult brotherhood.
We see it even in small things, right? Like his refusal to certify a man because I find him unconscious in one story. Sticking to conventional medical ethics, even in weird situations.
Exactly. But the deeper ethics come from his occult understanding, from knowing the laws of karma.
He explains why he doesn't use his knowledge for personal gain, doesn't he? In The Death Hound.
He does. 2 key reasons. First, he says he's a picked man, carefully tested, part of an organization which would assuredly exact retribution if he misused the power and training they gave him.
So his occult brotherhood acts like internal affairs.
Yeah.
Psychic police.
Pretty much. They're sworn to deal with mental malpractice, the misuse of occult power. But the second reason is even more fundamental.
Which is?
He says simply, knowing what I do, I dare not abuse the powers. It's not just fear of punishment. It's knowing that inescapable karmic law.
That everything works in curves thing. What you send out comes back.
Precisely. Every thought, every action with psychic intent creates an energetic ripple that will return to the sender. Sooner or later, Martin's dog will come home to its master.
So for Taverner, karma isn't just a belief. It's a demonstrable law of physics, almost.
It seems that way. It shapes everything he does. It's why he's confident in occult justice. He knows negative actions self-destruct eventually.
It even affects his view of death, doesn't it? He sees it like emigration.
Yeah, he thinks less of death than most people think of emigration. Just a transition within a bigger existence. Knowing the continuity removes the fear.
And this contrasts sharply with the Black Lodge practitioners.
Hugely. There's real fear about Black Lodges getting hold of powerful rituals. Why the legitimate lodges guard their secrets so fiercely.
Taverner himself says he'd steal a dangerous ritual back if needed, right, to stop it being misused.
He does. A chilling statement that shows the extreme lengths they'd go to prevent that kind of power falling into the wrong hands. The potential for harm is seen as catastrophic.
We get a clear example of that harm with Josephus in the powerhouse.
Oh, Josephus is vile. An unscrupulous scoundrel who literally preyed on vulnerable people in his so-called psychic development classes.
Fortune calls him a slimy villain who needs fresh blood new recruits to feed off energetically.
His powerhouse isn't about spiritual growth. It's where he uses women, drains them, gathers this group who help him, losing their own soul in the process. Psychic vampirism of a different kind.
Taverner steps in.
Directly. He confronts and neutralizes Josephus, sees him as a clear danger, an example of occult abuse that has to be stopped. It shows the active role of the fraternity as guardians.
Because the threat isn't just individual. Taverner warns about risks to the course of civilization itself.
Exactly. It's seen as a cosmic battle, in a way, maintaining balance against forces that would misuse power.
So the stories draw this incredibly clear line, don't they, between true occult science, ethical understanding universal law, and just reckless power grabbing or exploitation.
Absolutely. Power without wisdom, without integrity, inevitably leads to self-destruction. Maybe not immediately, maybe not visibly, but karmically, it's guaranteed. A potent warning.
It challenges that old saying, power corrupts, doesn't it? For Taverner, power is a tool. Its morality depends entirely on the user's intent and ethics.
Exactly. His discipline, his understanding, his adherence to karma allow him to use power for healing, for good, true power linked with service and wisdom.
So, thinking about today, a world swimming in influence, manipulation, often unseen. What does this mean for us? Could these principles, psychic police, karmic return, be operating subtly in our lives? A hidden justice system we don't even see.
It's a profound thought. That every action, every thought carries an energetic weight that eventually comes back. A kind of cosmic accountability.
Makes you think harder about your own intentions, doesn't it? The energy you put out there. Personal responsibility gets a whole lot deeper.
Extending way beyond just the immediate physical results. Shaping our future, energetically, karmically.
Ultimately, though, these deep dives, these strange cases, they're not just about the mysteries Taverner solves. They're also about the journey of the narrator, Dr. Rhodes.
It's transformation, which mirrors the path of any real learner, right? Anyone seeking to expand their own view of reality. 7. Dr. Rhodes' awakening, stepping into the unseen.
Yeah, Rhodes starts out exactly as you'd expect. A conventional doctor, skeptical, but also damaged by the war. His nerves shattered.
Crucially, though, he's open. He follows Taverner's rule. Open mind, shut mouth, even if he doesn't understand initially.
He's definitely an outsider at first. A fish out of water in Taverner's world. His skepticism is relatable, represents that mainstream view grounded in just material reality.
But his transformation is gradual, isn't it? Almost sneaks up on him, but it's profound, irreversible in the end.
There's that early encounter in The Southern Night with Marius, Earl of Cullen.
Right, the mysterious nobleman, defenseless on the physical plane, but potent in the realms of the unseen.
And Marius sees Rhodes' doubt about even having a soul and makes that amazing promise. But I will give his soul to him, and make him know that it is his own, and then he will live.
Which is such powerful foreshadowing, planting that seed of self-discovery right there.
But the real turning point for Rhodes, the moment he gets it, seems to be when he goes back to London for that medical conference, tries to reconnect with his old life.
And it doesn't work, does it? He feels isolated.
Totally. He feels this invisible barrier between him and his old colleagues, their limited views. But also, paradoxically, a barrier stopping him from just stepping fully into the occult world without choosing to.
He's caught between worlds in a liminal space.
And he realizes he has to enter the house of my soul and walk out through the back door, turn inward to find a new way out, a new perspective.
That curious interning, as Fortune calls it, that shift inward is key. Rhodes had always feared his own inner depths, right? Full of Freudian complexes and career-wrecking stuff.
Yeah, his conventional psych training made him scared of his own subconscious.
But being around Marius, his calmness, his completely unconventional outlook, the entire absence of any of the conventional social doctrines, it gradually changes Rhodes's whole sense of values.
He starts seeing things differently.
He starts looking for the actual metal it contained in life, the real substance, not just the elaborate workmanship of society's surface appearances. A fundamental shift in perception, what holds real meaning.
And then comes the final step, the big one, driving back to Hindhead.
But he drives past the turnoff to Taverner's house, doesn't he? Drawn by the stillness of the moors.
Yeah, this enormous stillness. He feels the presence of an unseen existence above me, like walking through invisible water. His car even stops mysteriously, leaves him in total silence and darkness.
Suspended. It's not just a place, it's a moment, a spiritual threshold, a choice.
And in that moment, alone on the moors, cut off from all human influences, he meets his soul face to face. The unseen life he'd started to sense rose like a sea,
Giving him the space for the decision. And he hesitates, right? Asks himself that crucial question.
Should I open that door which never can be closed again? The classic initiation moment, choosing consciously to step beyond the ordinary, irrevocably.
And then?
Then something gripped me by the heart and pulled me through. He feels himself past an invisible barrier. He's on the other side of it.
What's it like on the other side?
Physically, the world is unchanged. The cross on the hill is still there. And yet in all things there was a profound difference. For to me, they had suddenly become alive.
Everything is imbued with life, with consciousness.
And he realizes he shared in their life, for I was one with them. His consciousness expanded into unity with everything.
Wow. That's the awakening. It shows that these deep dives, they're not just about learning facts. They can be genuinely transformative.
Life-altering shifts in perception. Rhodes's journey shows that stepping beyond the conventional takes courage, letting go of old ideas.
But it leads to this richer, more connected, more alive experience of reality. It underlines that critical thinking is vital, yes, but that includes critically questioning our own assumptions about what reality is.
His final thought sums it up perfectly. He's no longer alone. For, like Taverner, Marius, and many others, I had passed over into the unseen.
A permanent expansion.
So, hearing about Rhodes's journey, what stands out most to you, personally? Could those little moments of intuition we all get, that sudden knowing, or feeling deeply connected to something bigger, could those be invitations, whispers from the unseen, nudging us?
A call to step across our own thresholds. It's a powerful idea.
And if those who enter the unseen never really return, meaning their consciousness is permanently changed, what does that imply for our own potential journey? What awaits beyond the ordinary?
It suggests not a loss, but an expansion. Seeing the same world, but through new eyes. Integrated. Seeing the unseen within the seen. A richer, more purposeful life. Outro.
Well, today we've taken quite a journey, haven't we? Into the extraordinary world of Dr. Taverner.
Definitely. Psychic parasites, mental assassins, karmic debts spanning lifetimes, elemental spirits.
Not just fiction, but potentially, as Dion Fortune framed it, elements of a supernormal pathology based on real occult principles.
We've seen how Fortune, through these amazing studies and little-known aspects of psychology, really opened a window into a hidden reality.
Guided by occult science by a deep understanding of consciousness.
And our goal, as always with these deep dives, was to give you that shortcut to being well-informed about these fascinating, maybe unsettling concepts.
Hopefully sparking some aha moments, offering new perspectives without you feeling totally overwhelmed.
It really highlights Taverner's core idea. Knowledge is most valuable when you truly understand it, when you can apply it. And there's always, always more to learn.
About our minds, our connections, the cosmos.
Always more layers to peel back.
So maybe the next time you grapple with some unexplained feeling or a really strange, vivid dream, or feel that profound, illogical connection to someone or somewhere,
Ask yourself,
is there more going on here than meets the eye? Could it be a whisper, a little nudge from the unseen, inviting you to maybe take your own step, to look deeper?
what stands out most to you from all this? It's definitely worth pondering.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We really hope it sparked your curiosity and given you perhaps some new lenses to view the many mysteries all around us.
Until next time.